Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer. So let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
Ladies and gentlemen, look, I don't know how to introduce this next guest, except we have so much in common because I'm going to just do a warning before we begin today that the Jew Bell, if you're working with other people, which you're not because we're in a fucking worldwide pandemic, if you play this podcast loud, just know this is going to be nonstop Jew Bell today. Nonstop. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I love this guy. I can't believe he's so fucking young and so fucking talented and so fucking smart and so fucking cute. Alex Edelman, everyone!
That's so nice. And it's sad because I want that printed on my gravestone, but it's too obscene to go there.
Right. But, and you're not getting cremated because you're okay. Alex, as I research you, you think when, you do a podcast, you think, oh, I'll have a young comic on and he'll have no life experience, but not Alex Edelman. First of all, you are so cute.
Thanks, Judy.
Don't you think you're cute? Like, do you look No, really?
Don't. All I see.
Oh, come on.
All I see is a schnoz that could bridge the Hudson.
It's such a good schnoz. I have to say, when you did that thing in Melbourne, where where you have to argue each. I did that at the Just for Laughs festival, which I loved. You look so fucking hot. And I'm not, I'm a lesbian, but come on, you got to get a lot of girls.
I've always had wonderful partners and girlfriends. I've always been like, okay, but I'm a specific taste. Like, I'm an extremely specific taste.
Okay.
Jewy.
So I have a friend who's a gay Jew guy, and he thinks Andy Samborn is the hottest thing in the entire world. And I guarantee you, he would think you're the hottest thing in the entire world.
Andy Samberg.
Samborn. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah, you just made him a country club guy.
Andy Samborn. All right. So Alex Edelman, you're going to be a huge force in this. I mean, you already are very successful, but you realize that I'm going to have to ride your coattails and you're going to have to help me because I'm 57 and everyone's like, don't fit the algorithm. Go fuck yourself. So if I have an Alex Edelman on my side, I'm all set.
Judy, you're already like a role model for like most of the young comics I know. So I don't know what else I need
money, Alex, and I need a show. Okay, so Alex Edelman is from Brookline, Massachusetts, the most Jewy part of Boston. I mean, everyone says Newton, but Brookline is like old Jewy, like settlers of Jews, okay? Alex is the oldest of 3 boys, all with names that begin with A, which we'll get into at some point. Orthodox family. But here's the thing. And we're going to get, you started doing stand-up at 15. Yes, great. Okay, you're so cool. Okay. No? 15, right?
I mean, I went to my first open mic when I was 15, but I didn't get serious about it till, college.
Right. I did mine first at 19. And then I got really serious, after college. But I was kind of serious in college. All right. So your genealogical DNA, seriously, you fucking lucked out. Okay.
What are you talking about? My dad.
Yes. So your mother's a lawyer, Cheryl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to read to the audience. I'm just going to have to do this about 100 times before I read this. Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay. Your father's an engineer, a scientist, a cardiologist, and an inventor, and a professor.
Mm-hmm.
He went to MIT, where he has 3 degrees, and then he went to Harvard Medical School. I mean, what the fuck is that? I mean, your grandmother, does he have any siblings, your father?
Yeah, he's got 3 siblings. 2 of them are lawyers and 1 works in finance.
And which one is he? What out of the 3?
He's the oldest. He's the oldest of the 3.
Okay. How do you follow that? Like, first of all, your mother, you can't. Like your mother, your grandmother. Is your grandmother still alive?
No, sadly, she was so smart. She was the first woman to go to University of Chicago High School, University of Chicago, and then the University of Chicago Law School.
No fucking way. When did she graduate University of Chicago Law School?
I have no idea, but she was there with Patsy Mink and Robert Bork. She was like a really clever, smart, lawyer. And my dad likes to tell a story about they went on a family trip to DC, and my grandmother's there like wearing shorts and stuff. And in the Senate, they're taking a tour of the Senate, and she like detours to like go say hi to Robert Bork or something. And Robert Bork was like, Esther, like, I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. But yeah, these were, and my grandfather grew up on a graveyard in Staten Island with nothing. Because his father came over from Europe, and the only job he could find that would let him not work on Shabbos was taking care of a graveyard. Yep, very Jew-Bill. And then he went to Columbia on the GI Bill and got a degree in engineering. And so my dad that's my dad's side of the family.
Okay, and then your mother's side of the family?
My mother's side of the family, grandfather is a Holocaust survivor, like never talked about it ever. Like
Alive?
My dad brought it. No, he passed away a year and a half ago.
Okay. Yeah. Never talked about it?
Never once to me. A cousin got a little bit out of him, but he was one of like basically like double-digit siblings and only like 2 or 3, So
survived?
He was one of those small town Jews in America when he emigrated here, where like he was the rabbi and the kosher butcher and the shochet and the moel. Like he did everything. He cut anything.
Hey now, he cut the brisket and the penis. Good night, folks. And then
do whatever.
And your grandmother on that side?
She paid for his medical school when he decided to go to medical school by getting a job as a real estate broker. And, she held the family together. She was like I don't
understand this story since the Holocaust never happened. So I don't understand.
Yeah, it's a crazy lie for my whole family to commit themselves to.
That's so weird.
Such an insane thing.
So when I had to look up your father. Eleazar, is that his name?
Eleazar.
Shit. Because I was thinking Eliezer, because the Bible.
Yes.
So Eleazar and Cheryl.
Yeah.
Where did they meet? Like, first of all, I can't imagine being your father's mother. My son has a PhD from MIT, and he is at Harvard Medical School. Oh, don't you have 3 other kids? Yeah. And he has over 80 patents. But what about your 3 other kids? They're fine. And I mean,
there's that old joke about the first Jewish president elected, and his mother's up on the dais at the inauguration, and she nudges the person sitting next to her and goes, "My other son's a doctor."
I know. I know. What about the one about there's one about the son is drowning at the beach, and the Jewish mother's like, "My son, the doctor, is drowning." And then they rescue the guy, and the mother's like, he had a hat.
Yes,
all right,
you're
so
combining two.
I know.
My last thing, my favorite Jewish joke, period, and Steve Fabricant at the Cellar tells us one a lot, is these two Jews are walking by a church, and there's a sign that says that if you convert, you get $600, and one of them says to the other, goes, hey, go in there, get the money, and we'll come out, we'll split it. And the guy goes in, and he comes out 5 hours later, and his friend is like, did you get the money? And he's like, is that all you people think about money?
I know, I love that joke. That one is a great one. I mean, classic. How many Jewish mothers does it take to change the light bulb?
I don't want to trouble anyone.
I'll sit in the dark. I'll sit in the dark. I mean, I love that one. I mean, we are a funny people. So you're the eldest of three. Your brother is a fucking Olympic athlete. I mean, what the fuck is going on with these genes?
I mean, the funny thing is, like, I'm very happy with my life, but also, like, you know, I have ADHD, I have ADD, I'm dyslexic, the whole thing is just, it's like the most elegant cake, but it wasn't left in the oven for long enough, you know, like I got the best ingredients, but you know, but yeah, my dad and my mom are two incredible people, and it's so weird because when I was starting, all the other comics had great jokes about their issues with their parents, and I was like, my fucking parents didn't give me anything to be upset at, you know, like they weren't rich, we were like solidly middle class, because my dad was a professor, you know, like, and you know, my mom was a part-time lawyer at she's a, you know, she also has a raft load of degrees. My mom was really, really smart, but you know, I had a very I had great parents. I have really great parents, and my brother Austin is the golden boy. He's the one who.
So Austin is the youngest. He plays lacrosse, I think.
No, he doesn't. He would.
Did he go to Penn State?
No, he went to MIT. He's at MIT right now. He's a college student.
Oh, is that? Oh, that I thought.
Are you completing is there a mistake in the Google?
No. What I did was I couldn't find anything about Austin. So I looked up Austin Edelman, and I saw this picture of someone who looked like you, and it said Penn State. And I was like, oh, that's probably his brother.
I think all of us are too Jewish for Penn State. I don't know
okay. So your brother, but the other brother went to MIT, right? Or no?
Yeah, AJ went to MIT.
AJ, by the way, Olympic athlete for Israel.
Olympic athlete.
Okay, so your brother, AJ, is known as the Hebrew Hammer.
Yes.
He competes in the skeleton.
Which is like luge, but head first.
But it's like luge, but head first. How does a Jewish mother allow their Jewish son who went to MIT...
She hates it so
head
much.
First on a tiny sled.
Yeah, he's trying to smash his cake. I don't know. She really hates that he does it so
And he
much.
does bobsled too.
Yeah, he does bobsled now.
And he's the first Orthodox Jew to compete in the Winter Olympics.
Yes, that's what I'm told. Although I don't know how comprehensive that is. I haven't checked, you know, every
Okay, well, I did my goddamn. All right, you grow up in Brookline. You're in this family, and you're Orthy, right?
Orthodox Jew, yes.
Yeah. And what, did you go to public school?
No, I went to a yeshiva. I went to a Jewish day school.
And were you popular?
No.
Okay.
Of course not. I had a set of friends early on outside of school. I played ice hockey. I played on a local ice hockey team. So I had those friends, and I got some jobs very quickly as a kid. So I was working in an office, but besides that.
Yeah, that's normal. And when you're 13 years old, you decide to write a newsletter for kids for the Boston Red Sox.
Wow, you really have done your research, Judy. This is the best research podcast I've ever,
Really?
Yeah, fuck. When I was 13, I got a job writing for the Red Sox. I wrote the kids newsletter for the Red Sox.
You created that. correct?
I mean, yes, I really wanted to. Yes, I really wanted to be like, I was a huge Red Sox fan. I sent them letter after letter, and eventually they were like, "Oh, fine, just do whatever."
You're a nudge.
Yeah, a pushy Jew, a pushy Jew.
So here's what's interesting. You know, you're from a bunch of brainiacs, and yet everyone plays sports in your family, which is not Jewy.
We all love sports. Sports are so much fun, but I think there's a nerdy aspect to sports too, where you're like, well, it's like chess a little bit, you know?
Right.
Like we all love chess. I think Jews are secretly, they love sports. They're just not good at them. Like my brother made the Olympics. He came in 27th place. You know what I mean? Like he's not.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Well, I have a Division I athlete that came out of my body.
That's true. That's true. Well, your son's a basketball player.
Right. But, you know, talk about hard work. I mean, he is gifted, but he's also very coachable. And he had a female coach when he first started who taught him, you know, not about like win, but about form, and, you know, get footwork and hand-eye and blah, blah, blah. And he's like an amazing, one of the best 3-point shooters of his age group in the country.
Great. I mean, like, but that is how, that's how Jews do it. You just practice.
Right.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
You're growing up, you're going to yeshiva. Now, your bar mitzvah, I'm assuming that yeshiva boys' bar mitzvahs are not as big as the public school.
They're not
This
fun.
is right.
My bar mitzvah, the theme of my bar mitzvah was depression. No, there was...
Can I steal that? Theme of my bar?
Sure.
Yeah.
My bar mitzvah had no theme, but it was on Purim, the Jewish Halloween.
Yes.
And so I read the Megillah.
You did? That was your, oh my God.
The whole Megillah.
You did not.
Yes, for non-Jews, usually the Jewish bar mitzvah reading is about a little bit less than 10 minutes. Mine was an hour and 20. I had to read this thing, and people hated how slow it was going because there's, in Orthodox groups, if you mess it up, you have to start again. So
no fucking way. So in conservative, which is where if you mess up, you go back to that word. They go, and then you go,
Someone's like,
yeah. And
but it was.
So you had to start the Megillah again?
I didn't. And also I've never, that's what the law says, but it's so extreme that
I know. I can't with the extremes. So
do you, happen once.
When you were doing your reading of the Megillah, did they all have noisemakers every time you said Haman?
Yeah, of course. It was a big thing. This is such inside baseball, no pun intended, for Jews.
Okay. So let's explain for the non-Jewish listeners that Purim, it is sort of like our Halloween, and again, we end up murdering someone, which is excellent. But we eat those Hamantashen. Because Haman,
triangular cookies.
Based on his hat.
If you're a New Yorker who wonders what Purim is, it's, that one day a year you see a Hasidic Jew on a street corner dressed like Superman. That's
right. That is Purim. Because you get dressed up, you tell the story of Purim. Everyone, eats these Hamantashen and gets wasted, basically.
Yeah, getting wasted is part of the this is so Jewish.
Right.
Part of the Talmud, there's a big argument over, which is Jewish law. There's a big argument over whether or not you have to get drunk enough that you can't tell the difference between blue and green or the difference between blue and white. But either way, you have to get wasted until you it's the law. You have to get wasted on Purim. And my uncles are real sticklers for the Talmud. So
is everyone in your family, from your father's generation, Orthodox?
Yeah, I consider myself modern Orthodox.
Modern
which
Orthodox,
is crazy. But yes,
Right.
I mean, that's how I was raised modern Orthodox. And yeah, you know, like I try to chill
And
out a bit on
Zionistic.
Shabbos.
And you're a Zionist.
Yeah, within reason, you know.
Same,
like
same.
I'm too pro-Israel for people who are purely pro-Palestinian, and
Right.
I'm too pro-Palestinian for people who are purely pro-Israel.
I agree. I'm in the same boat. But I do believe that a lot of the people who are so anti-Israel might want to visit, since you're allowed to, and check it out, see what's going on. And
Yeah,
then maybe make an opinion. And
I say I'm a lefty Jew. So like,
Yeah.
I've
Same.
done stuff for pro-Israel causes. I've done stuff for like pro-peace causes.
Same,
So,
same.
like I'm not,
Okay. So you're 13, you're going to yeshiva, you're the oldest of three. Your younger brother, AJ, is being bullied in school.
I mean, yeah, we were all bullied in school. AJ.
But AJ really has taken on the bullying issue.
Yes, he has. It's part of his sort of Olympic athlete thing.
Oh, okay. So, but if you're in yeshiva, like I went to public school and I was bullied incessantly, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I would assume in parochial schools, Jewy parochial, I mean, you can't really get nerdier than that. I mean, who bullied? Like, what kind of bullying?
Bullies. Everyone gets bullied. If you didn't get bullied, you were a bully. Like,
right.
And if you were a bully, you probably got bullied. Like, there's a cycle of bullying that is incessant. Everyone gets bullied all of the time. I got bullied at my Jewish summer camp because I was like, people were annoyed at the way I played at roller hockey. Like that.
Oh, shut the fuck up!
I know people are.
Did you go to sleepaway camp?
Of course I did.
Okay, so I went to sleepaway camp, and I'm going to tell this story.
Please.
It's not good. So I went to sleepaway camp, Jew sleepaway camp. I grew up my mother was we were conservadox, I would say. Okay. Sure. I mean, we drove to shul, but my mother wouldn't knit or do any, thing on Shabbos. But we had to drive, otherwise,
No shul, yeah.
No, we could have probably walked. All right. Anyway, some people in the shul walked. Anyway, but we drove. Anyway, so I was at summer camp and I hated it because I was in 7th grade or 8th grade. So I was almost 6 feet. I was probably like 5'10", 5'11". And we were in the bunk, and Jews are very cliquey. There's
cliquey.
Right. So you have the cliques in public high school, in life, the burnouts, So I was really tall, and we had the open showers. Did you have the open showers? Like,
sure.
And so everyone, you go in, it was like, probably like, calm down, everyone. The gas chambers. So,
oh my God.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, we have to take that out.
Have to take it out.
I know. I'm just saying. It made me think of all these people in one.
Yes. Yeah.
In one room with spouts coming out of the ceiling, and I never took my bathing suit off because I was so embarrassed. I was so big. Anyway, so after I wanted to be in the top bunk, and I couldn't be in the top bunk because I banged my head in order to go to sleep. I would bang my head against the pillow. It was a thing I did from the minute I got out of the womb. And I had to stop banging. So I started shaking my leg. Anyway, and I wanted to be in the top bunk like Peter Brady. And I was in the bottom bunk. My mother actually brought me to the camp director and said, we're having a meeting. I would literally walk in this office. We're having a meeting. So the camp director can tell me I can't knock. And I'm like, Ma, why don't you fucking tell me? Why do I have to get embarrassed in front of this woman? It was awful. So one girl got bit by a bee or something and had to go home because she was allergic. And I was like, oh, can I sleep in the top bunk? And I slept in the top bunk. And I guess I was shaking my leg and I fell out. And everyone's like, hey, see? Hey, yeah, that's why. Because you were saying, yeah, because you wanted to sleep in the top bunk. And then I left. I only went for 4 weeks because I couldn't bear the 7 or 8 weeks. And I went back to the dorm after I had packed up to pick something up. And someone carved in the fucking dorm wall, Bigfoot slept here. Okay?
Oh my God.
Isn't that awful? You're smiling, but
I'm smiling because your impression of everybody in your bunk is exactly how.
Oh my God, Judy, I can't believe it. You know what? She was supposed to be here, and now she's not. All you care about is yourself. It was so fucking, and I was like, oh, I hate all of you.
I did something that I'm not super proud of.
What? Go.
I was at this I was at this something called the Israel Hockey Academy. I was the only, Boston kid, and everyone else was from one of the 5 towns, Lawrence, Woodmere, one of these places. And I was just an outsider because everyone else was a, Lawrence or Woodmere kid. Everyone was, it was a different thing. I was not welcome. And there's this one kid, and his name was David Bernstein. And I know.
He lived across the street from me. There was a David Bernstein who lived across the street.
Not David Burstein, but his name
Bernstein. Okay.
Could have been but yeah, it's a very common Jewish name. But this kid he did something that I hated so much. He bullied me, sure, but he broke my favorite hockey stick. and then he sort of stuck it in the mud outside my bunk. So when I came out in the morning, like my 2 halves of my hockey stick were there. And so I launched a campaign of terror against this kid that had to, I spread a rumor. I put sand in his sheet so that he never was I would cut little bits out of the bottom of his shoes so that he walked with an instep. I found out which shampoo was his, and I put vegetable oil in the shampoo so his hair was always greasy. And then I was like, do you notice that David Bernstein's hair is always greasy? And he was like, and not so shampoo even more. And it was the most disgusting, horrific, sociopathic. I was like, I'm going to break this kid down. And then I was like, hey, I've been noticing. I remember, about a week into this, I was like, I noticed that you're just having some problems every day, inconveniences. And if you apologize to me for my hockey stick, I can make sure that they stop. I was like a little mafia boss.
That's good. I like that.
I was a fucking monster. And I told that story once to a group of people. And genuinely, everyone was sat there open mouth. They're like, you're a maniac. How do you think that
But wait, so what happened? So did he stop?
He hated me. There was a meeting. There was a meeting with us 2 and the camp director because the counselors weren't stupid. They knew that I was trying to destroy this kid's life. And David Bernstein paid for a new hockey stick. And
I don't understand. Why didn't he just get in trouble initially?
Because it was all hearsay. And also, I don't know if you know this about or remember this about Jewish camps. There's a real counselors sort of let frontier justice happen. A big problem with bullying is where they're just it'll do we need to have a meeting? And everyone's like, nah, we don't need to have a meeting. Right. Now I'm sure it's different. Now it's like,
oh my God, safe space. Okay, so you're 15.
Mm-hmm.
You're at a Jew school. Now you did really well. You did grades wise.
No, horrible student. Absolutely horrific student.
How did that work with the perfect parents?
Not well. It was a lot of pressure. I feel real bad. Just when your kid is learning disabled and you were you were 2 sets of kids who got great grades. I think you're just what the
weren't they
going on?
I know. So when did you realize you had dyslexia?
Sophomore year of college.
No fucking way. So you're going through and you're can you describe what it's like to have dyslexia? So I pick up a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see, let's take my book. Yes, I can say that when they come for the comedians, we're all in trouble. All right. So, and I just open it and I just start reading. So when you open a book.
I can read. I can read. I just have it. Sometimes things just swim in front of me. Sometimes I can't get a handle on the page. Sometimes I can't. You want to know what's weird? There's certain fonts that I do better with and certain fonts that I do worse with. There are dyslexia-friendly fonts for people. That's
really? What are they?
I don't know. I have it in my email somewhere that there are.
What are you like the whole time you're in school? Are you? I mean, you must have absorbed all the information. Was it that you tested poorly, that you couldn't? I mean, I have ADHD and ADD, so.
Yeah. It's just things I would look at a page and it would feel like busy to me.
Right.
Like sans serif fonts, like Arial, like those are pretty decent fonts because the letters don't look so like bunched up together.
Right.
But I didn't get it. And also I was reading Hebrew, which is right to left. And I was having real issues with that sort of, and it's hard for me to read that way. And it's not like some people on the spectrum of dyslexia are really like, they can't read anything. They can't do anything. And I'm lucky, and I'm actually a quick reader with, but like there's a book called, A Visit from the Goon Squad, which is a great Jennifer Egan novel. And it's got all these different typefaces and like, there's just one or two chapters where I was like losing my mind, where I couldn't follow the book at all. And Marcus Zusak has a book called The Book Thief with a bunch of different fonts. I was just like, I hated it because the book is wonderful. And I listened to it on audiobook, but like, just could not do. So yeah, I have these, but more it's ADHD is a big problem for me. Couldn't focus.
Horrible?
Oh,
I cut it. I remember, and if I had been diagnosed before I was in my 40s, maybe I would have had a fucking different life. But I remember when I was a little kid and we would have like reading time, and you would get a piece of you go pick up a piece of carpeting in the corner, like a mat, and everyone had a half an hour to sit and read, right? And I would sit there watching everyone read. Like I could not focus on and I was like, there's something wrong with me. There's something, but like you read Hebrew, I read music. So I think that and I read Hebrew too. I would go to Hebrew school, but music, I read more music than I ever did books when I was growing up.
I loved comedy because I had a sense of writing, I think.
Right.
Like I loved the writing element of comedy, but you didn't have to read it.
Right.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Judy.
No. I'm just saying it's so weird when you have it and no one fucking knows what, and you think you're just abnormal.
This week's episode of It's Judy Show with Judy Gold is sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you know me, which I think you do because you're listening to my podcast right now, you know that I am a big advocate for therapy. I think it benefits everyone. I think there's so many people who need it, who don't partake. It is so important for your emotional health and well-being. Therapy is fantastic. It is in every stretch of the imagination. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, please do it. But please give BetterHelp a try. It is entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It suits your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. I have switched therapists in my life. I've had many, many therapists, and sometimes it's not a great fit for you, but don't give up. Therapy is beneficial. You can learn about yourself. You can process and just be emotionally healthy. I'm telling you, do it. BetterHelp is great because, when I used to schlep to my therapist's office, it was so annoying. You have to do it and you sit there and you wait. And then I'm telling you, doing it online is fantastic. And BetterHelp is amazing. I know a lot of people who've used it. So if you're thinking about therapy, go to BetterHelp.com. Let the gratitude flow. This is Gratitude Month, people. So you need to let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/JudyGold, JudyGold, today, and you will get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/JudyGold. You're welcome.
How did you get the balls to do stand-up at 15?
I loved stand-up, and I had listened to the Brian Regan album live at summer camp. and I was in love with him. And Brian Regan. And by the way, comedy is amazing because like I was aware of you as a teenager and like a fan of yours and Gary Goldman's and all the great Jews.
Right.
And now I have a wonderful life where I regularly get to interact with my heroes, including Regan and I speak occasionally, and like that's crazy.
Brilliant. He's a brilliant guy.
He's a genius, and for children, he's especially mid 2000s children, he was especially accessible. And his stuff was really funny, and sometimes clean comedy has that stink of boring about it.
Right, not his.
Not Regan. So I loved Regan, and I wanted to be just like Regan and Weird Al. Like I loved
Weird Al is a fucking genius.
He is, and I've never met anyone who doesn't like or appreciate Weird Al, who I respect. Like I really love, and I wanted to be like that. So, but I didn't know that there were comedy clubs for people who I thought the only people who went to comedy clubs were like you and Seinfeld, and I thought there were 20 comedians.
Right.
And I was like, and I remember walking by this place called the Comedy Vault in Boston, and there was a sign for 4 comedians that I had never heard of, and I panicked because I was like, "Oh shit, there are like 24 comedians." And then the next week, I walked by and there were 4 different comics. I'm like, "Oh my god, there are 28 comedians! How am I ever?" So I went to a music open mic next to Boston College in a place called Rogies. It was a pizzeria in Cleveland Circle in Boston. And I asked this woman hosting the music open mic, I said, "Can I go on?" And she said, "What instrument do you play?" And I said, "I want to try stand-up comedy." And she went, "That seems like an awful idea." And she said, "How much time do you want to do?" And I said, "How much time do the musicians do?" And she said, 20 minutes. And I said, "I'll do 20 minutes."
Oh, you did it. And you were 15? Were you by yourself?
I get this. I rollerbladed to the pizzeria. That's how by myself I was.
God. Okay.
I bombed so hard. I ran out of material after 3 minutes. I didn't know that you could leave the stage. I riffed on nothing and didn't get a single laugh for the longest time. And when I get off stage, I walk to the back and I put on my rollerblades, and I'm trying so hard not to cry, and the whole audience is looking at me, and I thought, I'm never trying stand-up again, ever. And the woman hosting the open mic made one snide comment. She went, "Who knows, maybe he'll get better one day." And I was like, "Bitch,
That's right. That's all you needed.
That's the one. If she had just been like, "Give him a round of applause," I would have maybe never tried it again. But I was like, one spiteful comment for a woman who probably meant well. Like, it's not even the worst thing you could say.
I know. I don't think that was.
Maybe he'll get better one day. I was like, is that a challenge? Because I will. And
so, did your parents know that you went and did this?
I got outed by a local newspaper. This guy named Dave Radigan was writing in the Boston Globe, and there was an article about people doing stand-up on the local scene at the open mics, and there was a sidebar with little jokes in the sidebar. And I had one horrific joke there about how, I go to a Jewish day school, and they teach us all the normal Jewish day school stuff, like, math, history, science, Talmud, world domination, and it was in the sidebar, and my mom saw it, and she's like, "Is this you?" And I couldn't be like, "No, it's a different Alex Edelman, 17." But yeah, I sort of fell into the local scene a little bit.
And they had no idea you were going out and doing this?
They thought I was going to the library.
No way!
Yeah,
so this went on for 2 years?
Well, it went on, but also they sort of, after a while, I think, sometimes I'm like, was the 2000s just a different time? But it was 2007 or so, and my parents were just like, "Go, try not to be home too late." But I was going out in high school, like not to bars or clubs. I was going to like little improv theaters in Somerville that had shows, and I was watching comedy, and I was really taking in the local comics that I admired, like Tony V and Lenny Clark and Don Gavin and Steve Sweeney.
Yeah, love.
And Kelly McFarland, who's like, there are just a bunch of great comedians. And I would go to the Comedy Connection on the weekends. I'd rollerblade down there. And Adam Genovezian, who's now an agent, he was working the door, and he would let me in for like $20. I would give him $20 and he would just sort of scoot me to the back. And I saw comics that some of whom are no longer alive. I saw like Greg Giraldo there. I saw,
I loved Greg.
Judy, you played The Connection once or twice?
Yes,
right?
Of course. Yeah.
But I saw countless comics come through, and sometimes I'll be working a show with a comic, and like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I saw you when I was 16, and you meant everything to like Dom Herrera.
Right. Oh, I love Dom. Dom is the fucking funniest. I was funniest.
16 when I saw him, and also,
oh my God,
people cursing and talking about like cunnilingus, and I was 16. I was like, this is the most avant-garde rock and roll alternative shit you could possibly imagine, and it was just like 2-drink minimum chicken finger selling.
Oh my God, I love it. So when you applied to NYU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you put on your application that you were doing stand-up?
No. Wow,
I would think that would help you get in.
So the thing that I don't say much, but this is true, I didn't get into NYU on my first shot. I applied, I had terrible grades, but I was a decent hockey player. And a really wonderful coach who was coaching at BU, ice hockey, put in a good word for me at BU, and I got into BU. Mm-hmm. But I just kind of knew that I wasn't going to, and the expectation was that I wasn't good enough to get a scholarship, but I would try to I would try to do well enough to maybe walk on or play club there or something like that. But I wasn't good enough. I wasn't near good enough, and I didn't want to be as you know through your son. College sports, it's all consuming.
Right, all consuming.
And I didn't have the energy, and I would have ridden the bench, and I was terrible. And I spent a year studying at a rabbinical seminary in Jerusalem.
Oh, that's right. I wrote that down. Fuck. Spent a year at a yeshiva in Jerusalem.
Yes, in a place called Katamon, which is a neighborhood on the outskirts of Jerusalem, and or not outskirts. There are no real outskirts of Jerusalem, but it's a little bit away. It's about an hour and a half from the center on foot. Right, and so someone was opening up a comedy club while I was there.
Are these all kids that want to be rabbis?
Everyone's, it's customary for Orthodox kids or even a couple of conservative kids to go to Israel for a year after high school. Some kids do a gap year, but especially if you're not the brightest like me, you do a year and then see. But you
are the brightest, but you just.
I was not doing well in school. I had no evidence.
It doesn't matter. That's a measure of one fucking thing. Okay,
but I applied to NYU, and this time I was lucky enough to get in. I think I wrote about something some stuff I'd seen in Israel, and it was a really and I really fell into comedy because there was a sort of fledgling English speaking comedy scene, and there were like 5 comedians. So I headlined. At
when you were like 18 years old.
Yeah. I mean, when I was 18 years old with literally all the material I'd ever written, I was like headlining, and I was terrible.
And you wouldn't work on Friday nights, of course.
Well, the club wasn't open on Friday nights, but Saturday. I was still. It was a Saturday night after Shabbos activity, and the open mic was every Monday, and it was the same 25, young people, and maybe and some of them were settlers, and some of them were Israeli Arabs, and some of them were Palestinians. So this was a real true mix of people. And they had the same, and so I had to write new material every Monday for the same group of people. And that's how you become a good comic. Right. At writing a bit. So I was falling.
So, and did you ever want to be a rabbi?
No. I mean, I have a real love. The funny thing is, as I sort of lean in a little bit to my Jewish identity, it's been good for my comedy. Right. But no, I've never wanted to be a rabbi, but I do like the way that people, observe. Right. I think that Jewish discussions about God and whether he exists and stuff like that. Right. I love the discussion of religion.
Yes. Okay. So you graduate NYU, but you're doing stand-up in New York, correct?
Yeah, but I'm not good. It's one of those things where I was sort of feeling my way through, and also New York comedy clubs in like 2010, they were mean. Like they were very like the comedy was very like punch downy, and like it wasn't exactly for me. But I was like, I loved those club comics, and I loved like I would go to the Cellar a lot and do my homework because I went to NYU, so I was there all the time. But like, yeah, I was doing stand up, but it wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't making any money at it, and I wasn't very good. Like I was genuinely like.
So, who would you see at the Cellar?
Oh my God! I mean, I'd see Nikki Glazer, I'd see Nick DiPaolo, I'd see Gulman, I'd see Sherrod, I'd see Chappelle. I saw Robin Williams on occasion. Like I saw everyone. I saw Louis C.K. Before he passed away. I saw all of the comics that you could possibly.
Right.
I saw Dane. Also, people forget this about Dane Cook. He was crushing, but Dane was there, and Dave Attell I'd always watch, and Kurt Metzger. Attell.
Attell is the best. I mean, I have said this 8,000 times on the podcast. I was emceeing the first night he ever did stand-up comedy.
What?
At Comedy U Grand in 55 Grand Street in Soho. And he came in, he was a student at NYU, and he went on stage and he did this. Everyone who's listening who's heard the story, go fuck yourself, because Alex hasn't heard the story. So he came on stage, and I remember he did a joke about anorexia was very in the news. So he said, everyone has anorexia. The other day I walked by Macy's and one of the mannequins had her finger down her throat.
That's so funny.
And everything he was so funny. He gets off stage, it wasn't that good. I go, oh my God, you're so funny. So I
saw Amy Schumer a lot. Schumer was on the shows. There were so many different.
I took a break from the Cellar, I think around that time, because I was doing theater. And when I was pregnant with Ben, I was at the Cellar, and this is when they allowed smoking. And I was on stage, and obviously like 8 months pregnant, and someone's smoking. I said, could you not? And they took a puff and blew it in my face, and no one did anything. This is before they had security. It was 2001.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm done. I can't. So that gave me a bad taste. And then I started doing theater, and then I went back and, because I was there in like 87 and
I still, all those, it's so funny because hanging out at the Cellar in some way made me a comedian, but in another way, it meant that everyone at the Comedy Cellar will always see me as a bit of a kid.
Right.
And so it's funny because sometimes I, run into a comic from the Cellar from, when I was in college, and they're there and they're like, you still doing comedy? And it takes everything in me not to be like, yeah, no, I'm doing better than you.
Yeah, like, I know. I was that kid at Catch a Rising Star in the early 80s.
I love that. It's part of your growth as a comic. You love, no one who does comedy doesn't love comedy somehow. Oh,
please. I would sit at the bar and pray to get on. And I remember like Joy Behar, like, how old are you? And, I was so
Joy
much.
Behar.
How old are you? She got so mad at me once because my father died when I was 27, and we were sitting at the bar, and she's like, I was like, yeah, my father died. That's too bad. I said, do you have both your parents? She said, yeah. And I said, how come you have both your parents and you're so much older than me? And it was like ridiculous, but whatever. But yeah, I sat at the bar at Catch a Rising Star, another story I've told many times. And we had backup comedians because people didn't have cell phones. And if you were late for your spot, there was no way to get in touch with the club. Sure. And the two backup comedians were me and Chris Rock. So anyway.
That's unbelievable. And, the funny thing is those two, I don't know if it's this way at Catch a Rising Star, but some of those people would give me good breaks. Like Colin Quinn was always really nice.
Oh, he's the best.
And Godfrey who's a mercurial personality.
Right.
And he would, and I'd watch this guy, Godfrey, he'd go on last at the Cellar and do an hour and crush.
Right.
Like
that's like Paul Mooney used to do at the Comedy Store.
Oh, I saw Paul Mooney at Caroline's when I was in college.
Yeah.
Do the midnight shows on Friday nights, and
for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would end at 3 a.m. And one night I walked in, and he went, "You want to go on?"
No.
I go on, I do 5 minutes, I do fine, and Palmuni comes, and he spends the first half an hour ripping on me for being white and being Jewish,
Right.
and the relationship between black people and Jewish people. He gets into it. It was like, and he comes off after it, and he's like, "Hey, I don't mean it, and I was like, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen, man. It's totally fine."
Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of Kill Me Now with Alex Edelman. If you like the show, which, how can you not? Make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people find this amazing podcast. 5 stars only, please. And if you have not purchased my book, yes, I can say that. When They Come From the Comedians, We're All in Trouble, then you are in big, fat, hairy trouble. It's great. People love it. The audiobook was featured in New and Noteworthy in the New York Times Book Review. Just when you listen to it, I would put it on a lower volume. Good night, folks. Anyway, people are talking. Here is a international review on Amazon. International. An important statement in defense of free speech by a talented comedian and writer. It underscores the vital importance of transgressive comedians Lenny Bruce and George Carlin to American culture. So I'm smart too, motherfuckers. So there you go. It would mean so much to me if you would check it out. All order links are on the homepage of judygold.com or wherever books are sold. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram for all upcoming shows, virtuals, events, crap, just shit, stuff I have to say. It's at Judy Gold, JEWDYGOLD, like Jew Gold. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And be well, be safe, vote, 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 vote. And as we always say, so long.
Don't forget to tune in next week to Just Kill Me Now.
It's Just Kill Me.
Oh. Don't forget to turn for part 2 on Just Kill Me.
No, it's not. It's
Just Kill Me.
No.
Judy Gold's Just Kill Me.
Just.
Just Kill Me Now.